Hello and welcome back. This is the start of a series I'm going to be doing every 50 subscribers. This is the first one. Check out how noob I am. This loadout option I have named ANUBIS, mainly because it's Inaros with the ANUBIS helmet. Why not? Now, I have done a video on Inaros before explaining why I've built him the way I have. This is just another quick look. Fresh reminder, I am planning on putting another 3 former into him, one for intensify, one for armored agility, and then one to remove the aura polarity, just so that I can put whatever the hell aura I want on. Putting it off for the moment because Empower Blades is at the moment my go-to aura for him. I find it the most useful. Now, Inaros with max health and max armor, using his 4th ability, Scarab Swarm, and adding in Steel Fiber, he's pretty darn tanky. This is a level 145 corrupted heavy gunner who is clearly upset with his latest endeavours on the old pawn community. He's a bit upset, he's a bit grouchy, and he's wondering why he's not doing too much damage. Now he's blind and he's taking a Javelock in the face. Adding in the fact that my Kavat strips armor, which I rely on possibly a little bit too much, but there is good reason. You can pretty much survive most things. This is 2 level 145 corrupted heavy gunners, and just give them a quick blind. The Kavat strips the armor again. You can already see the health bar is red. Red means no armor, yellow means you're going to have a bad time. And I can just happily sit there and do pot shots, annoyingly, for them. And if they're not enjoying the blind, I can always press 2. Now, the next weapon I use in this loadout is Telos Akbolto. It is a very good pistol weapon, as well as the fact that it's got a very high damage output. Its base damage is puncture. I've just gone and added something a little bit extra, which basically means the other procs I am doing, because this build is all about status procs, which is how I get such stupidly high levels in some of the survivals I do. The reason I am using this is annoyingly because it's got a pretty good spread on the pistol shots. It's got a semi-decent high rate of fire. And adding in the proc that I am using on this weapon, it means the other procs I am using do half the work. At high levels, that is key. Now, the proc I'm on about with this, in case you haven't figured it out, is actually viral. I've got a 59% status chance on this with viral damage as well as puncture. If I can get a Riven mod for it, Deep Freeze will be going bye-bye, and the Riven mod I'd preferably like would be status chance, multi-shot, and maybe reload. Not too bothered about anything else, because what I've got there on this build works absolutely fine at this point. Now, if you've seen this combination before, this will not come as a shock. If not, you're in for a treat. Gas proc plus blinding an enemy equals fuck off. Another way to put it, that was 8 level 145 corrupted heavy gunners. Most people have struggled with 1 level 100 corrupted heavy gunner. That was just a walk in the park. Complete mincemeat. You're in my way, get out. And the rough idea of how I play this build is Zenistar down, Javelock out, just a little bit of extra hit in the main centre of the group, and then viral proc the rest, so the proc of the gas and electric from Zenistar, mince it. You can use your 2 ability to drag them into it if they're too far out of reach. General build for this is high status chance plus empowered blades on your frame, hence why I'm using it. Gas and electric. I'm also using primed fury and primed pressure point for the extra damage and speeding up, primed reach for a larger area, and organ shatter for just the extra crit damage because it forces it to crit. If you do not have Zenistar, because I am aware, and it's the big bugbear with this build, it's a 300-day login reward. So if you're new to the game and you're watching this and you're like, oh my god, I want to be doing that with that weapon, what's it called? It's called login for 300 days, Big Shag, have fun. Now, like I said, on replacement of that, Jack Katarg, it's a hammer, so it does ×6 finisher damage, which is a very good thing. Adding in Vulcan blitz as an augment, I suppose you can say, for this weapon, because it only fits this weapon. Add corrosive damage, and you are good to go. Inaros is all about the finishers, like I said, and Drakatag just sort of fits him to a T. It works absolutely beautifully. Now, on top of the weapons and how I use them, there are two other things I would recommend, and one of them is Arcane Grace. Now, this heals you for 4% of your total health per second for 6 seconds. At max, with a max vitality, Inaros has 4,620 health. 1% of that is 46.2. 46.2 times 4 is 184.8. Meaning that for the course of Arcane Grace, you have healed for yourself for 1,108.8 health. Pretty darn good. The other is Arcane Ultimatum. Upon killing an enemy with a finisher, you have a 100% chance to gain 60% armor. This frame is an EHP monster. Along with the fact that his 1 ability heals him, his 2 ability heals him, using his 3rd ability in conjunction with his 2 ability heals him. His 4th ability gains him more armor, and deactivating it or firing it off heals him, as well as acts as CC. His 1 ability also acts as CC. His 2 ability acts as single target, CC. His 3rd ability acts as CC. Seriously, is there any limit to this actual frame? It is insane. Anyway, as you can see, I'm roughly 5 minutes in, and I'm stuck myself in a corner, and well, I've just fragged Vor like the little bitch he is. Why not? Vor's a little bitch, he just got fragged. Go me. Now, this is a little bit of a demonstration of how you can play him. I think this is something DE is trying to avoid, because to be perfectly honest, it does get a little bit boring. I can only imagine how boring it is to watch, let alone play. The way I like to do it is sort of create choke points and run around so that they can only come at me into a room from one way, rather than just completely cut them off, as I am doing here. However, if this is a way you want to do it, that is entirely up to you. It does work well, and doing it in either way, playing it with either playstyle with him, well, with this loadout, this build, I think the minimal I can be bothered to go is about 2 hours, and the maximum I've gone is 4.5. The main problem you will have, because Zenistar will cut through anything of any level, it just takes different periods of time, along with mob density affects it. If you want to take out one enemy, it takes a while. You would honestly do a lot better to drag a mob together somehow. I use his 3rd ability, you can sort of pick him up and dump him in the middle. But the gas proc stacks per enemy, per second, per enemy. Near enough infinitely. The more enemies there are, the more it spreads, the more damage it can do, because it spreads to everything within 5 meters or something. So basically, you will take out a mob of level 1000 enemies a lot quicker than you will just one level 1000 enemy. So the idea is to drag mobs in, which is kind of a weird playstyle for Zenistar with this build. But if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't, you don't. Then adding in the fact that when they are at that level, they take a lot longer. That's why I've got the viral damage. It halves their health. It just generally helps out. The Javlock is there because it does do an immense amount of damage. I've got another build which incorporates corrosive and blast, which is also quite helpful, and another one that does radiation and viral, which it all depends on what I'm fighting. But the general gist is it's a status monster and it hits like a tank. The general gist of this loadout is to try and drag them all into Zenistar's range. The Kavat will strip their armour. What is remaining is being a little bit of a bitch to remove from existence. You just launch the Javelock at it. Don't worry too much about going to collect it. It will return to you in time, and whatever's left receives the lovely viral proc. Now, the reason I am able to rely on the Kavat so much is because I've got Pack Leader on my Kavat, which 34%, if I'm not mistaken, of the damage done with my melee weapon is transferred into health for my Kavat. Now, just in case you weren't paying attention, against those 8 corrupted level 145 heavy gunners, I was dealing a metric fuckton of damage towards them. Adding in the fact that that damage scales effectively, I suppose you could say, kind of scales, for the amount of enemies there are within its range of the gas proc, that is pretty much equating to you're just not going to kill my Kavat. As long as there are enemies in range of my Zenistar, my Kavat purely, quite simply, quite literally doesn't die. Then once you add in the buffs you get, such as, more specifically, the red crit buff, you literally become a status damage dealing monster. As an added note, my preferences for the focus line, I use Uneru, mainly due to the increase in armour. It does seem to help from what I've noticed, but that is one thing that is perfectly up to you. Anyway, that's me. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Have fun.